Well, hey, buddy, I missed you. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and I have a recent update moments ago, well, about an hour before the James Show started. Donald Trump signed some executive order for some program for veterans, not to minimize or be too reductive about what he was taking care of, but I want to start with the first question when he opened it up to take questions from reporters was about Iran. And listen, this is 2.5 minutes, but I know you have a longer attention span than a child with a cell phone. So I think you can handle this. And I couldn't find a way to chop it up cleanly. And I think you deserve the whole context. But if you want to know what's going on with Iran, we hadn't really heard a whole lot directly from the guy until about an hour ago. And if you listen to this 2.5 minutes, you will be completely caught up.
Are the talks with Iran now off and are airstrikes
No,
back
they're
on?
on. They're going on right now. It's an amazing thing. We have a little problem with Iran because we have many talks and we'll say we have or we don't have. You know, we're straight about it. But they deny, but they're not denying it now. They just put out a statement not denying it. But for some reason, when they're talking, they don't like saying that they're talking. So I say, wait, we're in talks. Big deal. We're in talks. And they'll sometimes deny it, even though they spend hours and hours together talking. No, the talks are going along. We're going to hit them very hard yesterday, very, very hard, harder than any attack. I think I can say, General, from a point of knowledge, any attack since World War II. That's pretty big. And we were set to go, and they called. And in addition, Saudi Arabia called, and UAE called, Qatar called. I called some numerous people. Not, I don't want to use the word begging, but some were. In particular, Iran did not want to be hit. And they said, we want to talk. We want to talk about the strait, but more importantly, from my standpoint, we want to talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because it's what it's all about. This is why I'm doing this. And it should have been done. It's now 50 years. We keep saying 47 years, but 3 years have gone by. But it's for 50 years that other presidents should have been doing or other countries. Didn't have to be us, but other countries. And nobody did it, and it was time, and we hit them hard with the B-2s more than a year ago now, and that knocked out their capability, their potential capability. And we've done a great job, but when we talk, we say we're talking. If we're not talking, when you ask me, no, we're not talking, I'll say it. But we are talking right now, we're talking, and we're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. Many countries called, the leaders of many, I'm friendly with a lot of them, almost all of them, one way or the other, and they all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance for them to sign a good document.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk to retired veteran Darren Gobb about what this actually means, because you keep being told that we've hit them harder than anyone's ever been hit. No one's been hit like this, but you've been told that over and over about every 2 weeks for the last 4 months. Why is this any different? I don't know. What I'm surprised they have anything left. You keep hearing that. Wow, this is just such an incredible bombing, and no one will ever recover from this. Well, why isn't it over? We'll have a in-depth conversation about that next with a guy with military experience, not just me popping off the top of my head, next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, I think the Iran war is winding down, if nothing else, just because the election calendar is upon us. I'm James Parker. This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Remember, Trump's coming to town on September 9th and 10th for the midterm convention. They'll be right next door at the AAC. So, we're going to be bringing you good guests. So remember, September 9th and 10th, turn it to WBAP. My next guest, retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb's coming back on. And we have what Donald Trump called the last chance for the Iranians coming up. And I feel like we've heard this before, but I also feel like maybe this time is different because we are now 3 months away from the election. Your thoughts, Darren? But we still haven't gone through the bridges and power plant phase of the bombing campaign. I guess not. We're talking with the retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb, also a helicopter pilot. Now, in 5 to 10 years, are we even going to need helicopter pilots? Or are these things going to be self-flying Blackhawks? Well, can I ask you something wild here, Darren Gobb? Because I've been seeing videos float across my social media feed of those looking robot dogs that come from Boston Dynamics. Those looking guys are being tested by other militaries, and they have them doing military things. Are these being used yet in the theater of war, like in Russia and Ukraine, or somewhere I haven't seen? All right, Darren Gobb. Thanks for freaking me out a little bit. I'll let you go. I know you got to go get on Newsmax. So, Darren Gobb, thank you very much, sir. Find more on him, Darren Gobb, DARINGAUB. You know, there was another question 13 minutes after that last clip I played where Donald Trump was taking questions from reporters right before the James show started. This was the second part about Iran. Much shorter answer, but much shorter answer needed here.
Would Iran be willing to return to fully free navigation of?
It has to be. I'm not going to let them charge.
Would you?
If anybody's going to charge, we'll charge. We're the one that has total control. We have total control. You know, we have a thing called a blockade with his Navy. And that Navy is, they call it a wall of steel, the United States wall of steel. And no, there's not going to be charging.
Okay, so the reason why I am a little more optimistic about this really kind of winding down is not actually me being optimistic or positive at all. This is me being a cynical little punk, because I think Donald Trump always knew that he was going to try and accomplish as much as he could without damaging his chances of retaining the House and Senate in the midterm elections. He doesn't want to get throttled. So he was going to do what he could, but always with the plan that it needs to wind down a good, 2-3 months before the election. Well, we're now 3 months before the election. So I think we're in the beginning of the wind down phase. And I predict that by Labor Day, maybe we should mark this and revisit this audio. Garrett, do you do such things? By Labor Day, here it is. We will have the end of the Iran war. And why? Because we accomplished something, because we dropped the right bomb on the right place. Look, if we don't accomplish all our goals by then, we're just going to pull out, declare victory, and try and get the news cycle to spin a few times before it gets to the election, so this thing is just completely forgotten about. Because nobody says they want forever war. Now, both parties do it, and both parties' voters still vote for their party, but it is not a popular move on either side of the aisle, just if you ask people what they want. So at least the goalposts haven't moved. The timetable has moved. You know, at the beginning, we were with the understanding that this was just going to last, 6 to 8 weeks or so. But at least the objectives haven't moved. You have to cripple Iran's ability to strike people in the region militarily. Regime change, which is kind of already accomplished when you blew the previous guy up. And then Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. Now, that last one is so open-ended and so vague that if that is your goal, then you're leaving the door open for war forever. Well, because if Iran starts to get a nuclear weapon, or they want to start spinning uranium a year from now, or 5 years from now, or 8 years from now, or 12 years from now, will we just go back to war? So at least that hasn't changed. But my criticism of that original goal is that's the perpetual goal. Not we want to eliminate their program or shut the whole thing down or get their uranium. No, they will never get a nuclear weapon. So somewhere in the middle, you're going to get part of what you want. I doubt you're going to get all of what you want. And I'm kind of mean Trump on that. I think maybe logistically speaking, if we really wanted to get the uranium, we would have to go in there with boots on the ground, and nobody wants that. Trump doesn't want that. Iran doesn't want that. So I think we're all going to have a very unsatisfying half victory by Labor Day. And it's all going to be based on the election. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. And just to sort of reset the context here, let's go all the way back to the very beginning of all this. The first week of strikes, Carolyn Leavitt came out, did a press conference right before she had the baby. This was on March 6th of this year, her giving the original timeline.
I won't get ahead of the president on broadcasting any timelines. What I will tell you is what President Trump has already laid out, which is that the achievable objectives of Operation Epic Fury we expect to last about 4 to 6 weeks, and we are well on our way to achieving those objectives. Annihilating Iran's navy, we know that we've sunk more than 30 Iranian vessels and ships. Their navy has now been deemed combat ineffective. Taking out the ballistic missile threat that Iran posed to the United States and our troops and bases in the region, we have done a tremendous job. The United States military has done a tremendous job at achieving that objective thus far. Just 6 days in, the retaliatory ballistic missile strikes from Iran are now down 90%. Of course, ensuring Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon.
There it is. So the goals have been consistent. The timeline has been a disappointment. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. When we come back, we're going to go back to that press availability Donald Trump had, where the next question after he was asked the first time about the Iran war, he was asked a very fun question about Mom Donnie's grocery store. And we got to talk about the communist slash Democrat socialist issue that is getting way too popular for your liking here in America. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Let's check in on our Yankee friends in New York City. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
New York City!
Mom Donnie has announced something that I'm just salivating over, because you might be salivating over it too, because it's something that's failed everywhere it's tried. The idea that we need government grocery stores. Yeah, we've never thought of that.
Food prices have soared at grocery stores around the country by roughly 30%, in fact. Talk to shoppers around the city, and you'll often hear the same frustration. Wages have not kept up, which is why city government is stepping in to make people's lives more affordable. Today, I am proud to announce a collection of essential staples that will be predictably 30% cheaper at all 5 of our city-run grocery stores.
All right, now, for people who have never thought about economics or read an economics book, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the average person in the media. That's only half joke. Some of them are like, you can see like the wheels cranking in their heads. Like, okay, so what's going to happen here? If a few staples are going to be cheaper at this store, how do they stay in business? Well, for whatever money they lose, it's going to be subsidized by the taxpayers. Okay, so it's going to be an infinite supply. So what would keep all the other grocery stores in the area from canceling the order from their wholesalers and just buying out that store and then selling it at their regular grocery store a few blocks away at a 30% markup at regular price and make a huge profit? Wouldn't that just be these companies draining the taxpayer to get them to cover a third of the cost of some of their staples? Well, no, then there would have to be rationing, and you wouldn't be able to sell to other businesses, and they wouldn't be able to have a bunch of Smurfs that came in and grabbed them on their behalf. And so now you have to start putting more rules on top of more rules. And how are you going to know if they're legit? And how are you even going to know if they're New Yorkers? Or how are you going to know? And it came out in the questioning that in Mom Donnie's grocery store situation, actually, today, Trump was asked about that. Strangely enough, there was a question on, the Iran war and whatnot. And then the second question, check this out. He was asked about it.
Mr. President, New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani is requiring an ID to access his government-run grocery stores. What then is your message to Democrats who do not want to pass the Save America Act and ensure, ID at the ballot box?
This was just announced.
Yeah.
I heard about it. Yeah. Well, I wish they'd have an ID to access the voting booth. They don't want to access the voting booth with any identification. We want voter ID. And we want proof of citizenship. Well, he also had a thing where you had to have 2 different IDs to shovel snow during the winter, right?
And so a lot of people are probably thinking, that doesn't sound right. Did he say that? Well, no, he was asked about this yesterday, about you're going to have to do some sort of rationing or some sort of control or some sort of limit on purchases and some sort of like verification of need.
How are you going to keep people from taking advantage of that, that deal, basically? And is there going to be a limit on the number of items that someone can take that are discounted at that level from that essential basket?
So our RFP makes very clear that this is a program for New Yorkers to be able to put food on the table, not a program for people to be able to make a quick buck through reselling. I'm going to pass it over to our EDC head, G-Pack, to add some additional details.
All right, now hang on. This other lady's going to answer the question. But he's very smart. He knows what the answer is, but he also knows there ain't no damn way he's going to be caught on camera in front of a microphone saying that they're going to have to check for IDs to go to his government grocery store.
Yes, if you look at our RFP for the operator, we are looking to make sure that we target New Yorkers, whether it be at sort of a library card-esque thing, and also we manage who's buying and that is focused on everyday New Yorkers. So we are mindful of that. And so we're going to make sure that we have all the things in place to ensure that that does not happen.
Does that mean his grocery store is racist? Does that mean it's a vestige of Jim Crow and segregation? You got to show an ID. You're told if you got to show an ID to register to vote or at the ballot box that's Jim Crow 2.0. Is Ma'am Donnie's grocery stores 2.0? The other thing I was waiting for someone to ask, and they haven't asked it yet, so I'm just going to ask on behalf of myself and you. Are Mom Donnie's grocery stores going to have their thermostat set at 78 degrees? Remember this?
And to every business owner, please set your thermostats to 78 degrees to alleviate the stress on our power grid.
Oh, I wonder if they're going to live up to that. That's so weird. It's almost like rules for you, but the socialists don't have to follow them. It's almost like all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And if you don't know where that came from, keep listening to my show. Steve in Weatherford, you're on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
In these food deserts that are spoken of.
First off, hang on. I already like your smarmy attitude. I can smell the sarcasm a mile away, and I love it already. Keep going.
There's precious few dollars to go to purchasing foods for children and families that need nourishment. I think what we need to do is outlaw cigarette sales, alcohol sales, drug paraphernalia, all the vice and lottery tickets from these food desert areas that are indicated, so that more dollars can go toward nourishing foods for children and families.
That's how a socialist thinks. You're absolutely right. And you were making a perfect point there, and all with sarcasm. So you get bonus points for that, for the comedic delivery. Yeah, that's a field goal. That's Garrett. Give Stephen Weatherford. He gets another 3 points, and he scored before, so he's starting to rack it up. Thank you very much, Steve in Weatherford. But listen, this socialism, the grocery store situation, is something that, I mean, I predicted it on the James Show. It's not even a prediction. I've seen other cities try this. You've seen other cities try this. We tried something similar to this with a partnership with Save-A-Lot grocery stores here in Dallas. It's failed in Waco. I've seen it fail with my own eyes in New Orleans as well. I've seen it fail everywhere it's tried. I've even heard about how it fails in other cities. And we're still going to go forward with it. We're still going to pretend like socialism's not a laughing stock, flat earth economics. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Mom Donnie, in an effort to raise money for these socialist grocery stores, has some new plans to tax the rich, and he's released a list of all the evil rich people who should be paying his new condo tax. I'll tell you about that, and you'll hear from a fellow Team Blue member that's not too happy about being put on blast. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, James Parker here. I want to talk to you homeowners out there. If your roof is over 20 years old, that's enough reason alone to go ahead and get a free inspection from Blue Ribbon Roofing. But listen, whatever the excuse is, when you need a roof, you need a roof. This isn't something you can put off. You put off getting a new roof, it's going to end up costing you thousands and thousands more in extra repairs, because a roof is what protects the rest of your house when God dumps. So how many times have you gone through the roof replacement process? Listen, I've owned homes for, years. In my own personal experience, I've had to replace a roof one time. You know how many times Blue Ribbon Roofing has, how many projects they've done? I asked John Hopkins about this. He says he doesn't know the exact number, but it's over 10,000. The man has overseen 10,000 roofing projects. If that sounds impossible, they've been in business for over 30 years. So don't just trust me. Go to blueribbondfw.com, click through to their 5-star Google reviews, flip through, see how your neighbors have already had a fantastic experience with Blue Ribbon Roofing. A great roof, family business, and they do the important thing. They help you with the insurance claims process every step of the way. So when it's time for you to get that inspection, it doesn't cost anything. Just go to blueribbondfw.com. So are all these crazy socialists actually going to run off Team Blue voters? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome back to the James Show. Remember when you wake up in the morning to check out the WBAP morning show from 5 to 9 with the morning crew. But it's one thing to make fun of the Mamdanis of the world, to make fun of AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and their silly socialist policies, and rightfully so. But it doesn't really win or lose any voters when you make fun of Elizabeth Warren being Pocahontas. Now, it's funny. It's hilarious. And while her views do not match yours very closely, they're not so wild that it's going to turn off anybody who voted for Bill Clinton or Al Gore or any of the rest of the mainstream of the Team Blue world out there. But we are beyond that now. Because the thing that you've noticed that I think should be stressed more on Fox News and other sort of Team Red media outlets is how many of the people that are being called far right now were Democrats 20 years ago. And they haven't changed. It's not like all of these people can have this individual awakening all at the same time. Actually, they didn't change. What of Donald Trump's policies have changed? Because he was a Democrat his entire life until about 11 years ago. Elon Musk, Democrat his entire life until about 8 years ago. Did any of their policies change? Or did what it mean to be a Democrat change? Because I could play you the just legion of audio I have on Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama themselves talking about how we got to control our border and illegal immigrants have no place in society and should be deported. None of that was evil. None of that was fascist when they said it, but now it's unthinkable. Now it's fascist. Now it's literally Hitler. So the question becomes, how far to the left can they go before some more of these people start dropping off? Well, one of the buoys that we're all watching is Bill Maher. Bill Maher had J.D. Vance on his show on July 20th and said his vote is up for grabs. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to turn Republican, but if the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, are going to be putting up their candidates and pushing their policies, then he can't vote for that.
You told J.D. Vance you're open, your vote is up for grabs.
Yes, my vote is in play because it can't be Trump running.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. And DSA, again, they say things like, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism,
So there's two reactions to Bill Maher. Number one is the DSA true believers who stand fast. Yes, I am a proud communist.
And you're going to appear in all sorts of people's ads, all sorts of Republicans' ads to say, this is what you're going to get if you vote for the Democrats, a communist.
I think that framing is one that I've been very proud to be able to say I don't respond to, one in which I have been very intentional to say I won't be reactive. We are presenting a vision of what we're fighting for, and I think for far too long we have had politics that is reactive to what Republicans are doing.
Now the other camp is represented by Joy Behar, who herself isn't a avowed socialist or communist, who hadn't been spouting all this. But she hates Republicans with a hot heat of 1,000 suns, so she doesn't want to do anything to break the unity of Team Blue. And so she'll even lie and say socialism isn't that scary. Yeah, even though they murdered 100 million of their own citizens, it's not that bad.
That New York is a bellwether for the whole country.
No.
But obviously New Yorkers are not watching Fox constantly. And so they're not afraid of the term democratic socialism. If I fall down, I want an ambulance. If my house is on fire, bring your hose. You know what I mean? Yeah. We are looking, I'm not scared of the term. I think they're scared of the
Oh,
term
okay.
in this country. But Social Security is a democratic socialism. Partly unemployment insurance is. The people who pick up your garbage, the people who take the fire out at your house, all of these things are democratic socialism. And there's a major reaction formation going on right now. If you see, we'll see soon, we're talking about it later, about Republican senators are turning, congressmen are turning on Trump. And people have had it with this right-wing, nasty politics that we've had to subject ourselves since this guy got into office. Well,
All right, so let's go back to Bill Maher on Friday. Check this out. See if Joy Behar's criticism here stands up to this Bill Maher clip about a capitalist pledge. Some Democrats were asked to make a pledge to support capitalism.
2 Democratic congressmen released an open pledge they wanted their fellow Democratic members to sign. It said, "We are capitalist, not socialist. We want safety, not lawlessness. We are proud, not ashamed of America." These should not be hard words for a congressional Democrat to sign on to. You know how many did? 8. 8 out of 212. Guys, really, there's got to be an easier way to lose the swing states.
That is bad. Like, I expect it to be kind of bad, but here's another way they're turning people off. It's bad enough that if you are in New York City and you have a second home there and it's worth, I think, $5 million or whatever it is, and your primary residence is out of state, you're going to be charged with this new giant tax, the pied-à-terre tax, or however they say it. I don't even know. They're just making up new taxes. They've ran out of taxes that are in the English language. They got to start going to French or whatever that is. And he ended up doxing all the rich people who may qualify for this tax.
And I've been doxed.
I should tell you, this is Scott Galloway, by the way.
And I've been doxed.
You've been doxed. What? Tell me.
So I don't know if you've heard, but Mayor Mamdani has decided to release a list of the 950,000 residences with addresses and names that might be eligible for his pied-à-terre tax. I came out in favor of this tax. This is the definition. He's taken a legitimate source of tax revenue and he's turning it into a wanted poster. And the question I would have is, other than trying to identify and imply these people have done something wrong, and then 18 months after a healthcare CEO was executed in the street and then published the list, what is the upside here? Why is he doing this?
Bro, the communists are going to go after you first. What do you think all that eat the rich stuff is about, Scott? You're an NYU professor and a multi-million selling author, and you're on M. Snow and CNN on a regular basis, and you're worth millions, and you have a second house when you live out of state in New York. Buddy, you can try and act like that y'all are on the same team, and you can say you support them and their policies, but that whole eat the rich stuff is not a joke. Go look at history, sir. You're going to be the first one digging your own grave when the revolution comes. Don't come looking at us, Scott. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, the amazing interview with RFK Jr. and Dana Bash on CNN from yesterday. Coming up on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, you're about to hear an action-packed interview from the weekend with RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dana Bash on CNN at their State of the Union yesterday. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now, if you're an all-day listener, if you've been listening, we talked about this on the morning show on WBAP. Matt Locke played some clips of it on his show from 9 to 11. Mark Lee Van Camp and Robbins were playing highlights from this. I'm not going to be shocked if you, on the show after this, if you hear some of this on Mark Levin. And my take's not going to be a whole lot different, but I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine and put a little context on it that the other guys didn't. And that's okay. It's just, I have a different kind of show here. So I think probably half of the people who are listening right now have heard this. If you haven't, don't worry, and get you all caught up in just a second here. But what we go, State of the Union is CNN's Sunday show. All the networks have one. MSNBC or whatever has, and NBC have Meet the Press. Fox News has Fox News Sunday. There's Face the Nation for CBS. There's This Week on ABC. They all have one. And this one is making some fantastic rounds because in it, this RFK Dana Bash back and forth, for some people, I believe is the first time they're going to be hearing some of this. And so I'm going to play a little more context than I heard the previous shows play. So forgive me if this is 2 minutes long, but then we'll go back and break down some of this with commentary from the Young Turks and Joe Rogan and myself. But here's the 2 minutes I want you to hear a little more context on.
You want people to get the MMR vaccine?
Yeah, I said that already.
Okay, so
I know you're flustered now, and it is.
I'm not flustered at all. I am frustrated.
And honest.
The reason I'm frustrated is because you are the HHS secretary, and you are talking about things that lead to vaccine hesitancy in this country, and it is something that causes problems for people when there is not anything.
Let me ask you something. Do you see your job as ending vaccine hesitancy, or do you see your job as telling the truth to the American people?
I see my job as telling the truth, and the truth is that there is study after study after study. It's one of the most studied things out there in science.
You're repeating
and
it like a parrot. You're repeating it like a parrot. I've actually read the science. You don't come back here and debate the science.
I'm not debating this with you.
Of course you won't.
No, because I'm not debating.
All you know how to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again to talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job, to talk to people.
Your job is to tell the truth to the American public.
Yes, and my job is to get as much information as I can.
And to maintain what we were doing in
COVID and still, with regard to these vaccines, is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing information to be out there that is not accurate.
Who was lying to
you? The National Academy of Sciences.
Wow. Isn't that just a wow moment? Even after she knows that she came out and told you things that were false, there is no shame. There's no self-reflection. There's no even admitting that she got anything wrong. We did the best that we had of the information at the time. I had the same information and I was making much better judgments than you are. So either you're dumb or you're a dupe. Those are the only two. And you're not even cracking through. You're not even cracking the shell of this egg. It's not even dawned on her that, wow, either I'm dumb, I'm really bad at my job, or I was tricked, which means I'm still pretty bad at my job. And let's go ahead and look at some of the other reactions here, because Joe Rogan at the end of last week, again, he's another one of these guys, Democrat his entire life, still is a Democrat, still identifies as a Democrat. But he's on board with the sort of the John Fetterman, the Robert F. Kennedy, Elon, Trump. These are all guys that were Democrats up until about 15 years ago, not even like 11 years ago. And now they're called what? Far right, Nazi extremists, literally Hitler almost. So here's Joe Rogan.
We are right now in the middle of the Fauci hearings. So
Yes, we are.
He's now testifying in front of Congress and pleading the fifth about everything, including the color of his tie. It's very weird to watch. It's in one way, it's like I told you to a lot of my liberal friends that wanted to pretend that he was a great guy and that he wasn't doing anything wrong. And now that all these emails have gotten out where it shows that he knew that the fatality rate was much lower than they were saying. He knew that it wasn't dangerous for children, that they didn't need vaccines. He knew that the social distancing thing was all nonsense.
So there you go. It's breaking through a little bit. Joe Rogan's been more open-minded than just about anybody else on Team Blue. So that's not a big revelation. Him and Bill Maher. Let's go a little bit further to the left in the Team Blue sphere. This is Anna Kasparian. She's the co-host of the Young Turks. The other guy's Cenk Uygur. Lifelong Team Blue activist. Listen to this little hesitancy here in reviewing what happened.
The one thing that I think the conservative Americans were correct about, especially as it pertained to the pandemic, was questioning authority and questioning our institutions. When the pandemic began, I had too much trust in our institutions. I have now switched over to having zero trust in our institutions. And when you have zero trust in our institutions, you're more likely to land at the accurate information.
Okay, but once you admit that and you extrapolate it out to its full application, yes, you have zero trust in government institutions. And what did COVID teach you? That the medical government established can't be trusted any more than any other government establishment. It's something that's going to be abused for political power and political gain. And so once you realize that, once you digest that and understand that as your worldview, logically speaking, you cannot go forward supporting universal health care and hold that belief at the same time. Either you can trust the government with healthcare decisions, healthcare mandates, healthcare law, healthcare policy, or you can't. There's not some magical middle ground where if it's an emergency, the pandemic, then they're going to lie to us. But on a day-to-day basis, they'll never exploit that for political gain. Wake up. She's right. She just needs to keep following that intuition. And I love seeing that because it's almost like seeing people waking up for the first time. Like, wait a second. Maybe we can't trust government institutions. Maybe we shouldn't trust the fact that government has our best intention when it comes to, I don't know, education, or when it comes to mortgage policies, or when it comes to banking, or when it comes to healthcare, or when it comes to all these other things that they shouldn't be involved in anyway. Public housing, where to build little choo-choo trains so you can get a free ride to work, what we're supposed to do with buses or homeless people. They just don't know. They're all corrupt. None of them should be trusted. Once you digest that, I don't understand why everybody's not a libertarian, if not a full-on anarchist. 800-288-9227. More reactions from over the weekend to the Fauci hearings. I'm James Parker, coming up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Donald Trump's coming to town for the Republican midterm convention, so keep it on WBAP when it's September 9th and 10th. Remember, September 9th and 10th, those are the two big days, and you will want to keep it here. Now, we are slowly watching the normies wake up to the idea that the whole COVID thing was a lie. And when I say the whole COVID thing, yes, there was a virus. Yes, it's real. It wasn't just something they renamed the flu. But everything pretty much beyond that was not even a mistake. It was an outright known lie at the time it was said. Social distancing, hoax. Mask, hoax. Lockdowns, worthless. mRNA jabs, they're not even vaccines, but the therapeutic they came up with. Pretty dangerous stuff, especially for kids. Kids didn't need it. Kids weren't at risk. More kids were killed from complications from the vaccine than COVID itself. They lied about the case fatality rate. They knew that if the public was under the understanding that it was about 1% fatality rate, that they wouldn't have agreed to a lockdown. They wouldn't have agreed to all this spending of $6 trillion, and they damn sure wouldn't have agreed to all the vaccine mandates. They lied about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine working, which got people killed. Remdesivir, they said was good. That also got people killed. They lied about it coming from the lab. They lied about Fauci funding it. They lied that natural immunity worked. So even after I already had the vaccine, I was still subject to mandates. Because for the first time in viral history, natural immunity meant nothing. They weren't even believable lies at the time. Fauci lied about it all. The media lied about it all. Most politicians lied about it all, even on Team Red. And if you're one of the ones that fell for the lies, you're probably a little more apologetic and shameful than these people on TV who are still going forward with the idea that, hey, we just did the best with the information we have. Let me play a much shorter version of the Robert F. Kennedy and Dana Bash for the people who are just joining us.
Debating this view.
Of course you are.
No, because I'm not
all
debating.
you know how to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again to talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job. I'm not debating this view.
Of course you are.
No, because I'm not debating.
So there he goes. Now that you're all caught up here, we need to go back and review the people that got it wrong and hold them accountable. How did they get it wrong? Why did they get it wrong? Have they changed anything about their approach to news and reporting that make sure that they won't get it this wrong in the future? Because as far as I'm concerned, all of these people still owe Joe Rogan an apology. Listen to this.
It blows my mind that Joe Rogan just yesterday admitted to taking ivermectin.
Ivermectin is something more often used to deworm horses.
Rogan telling his 13 million Instagram followers that he was treated with several drugs, and he included ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock.
Rogan said the word ivermectin. Yes, that's the deworming medicine made to kill parasites in farm animals.
So things are clearly bad, but they're being made even worse by people who have refused to take the vaccine and instead are swallowing horse paste.
Wait a second. He said that he got better because he ate cattle dewormer.
You have individuals like Joe Rogan, for example, who don't want to take an experimental vaccine but will take horse dewormer.
Ivermectin is often used to deworm livestock.
All right, how many people did y'all get killed? So they were getting it wrong constantly. And look, here's Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon. Shame on ivermectin.
People who are injecting drugs for animals and horse.
And people telling them to.
Oh, shut up, both of you guys. So that's what they were duped. Now, people on the right, were they duped? Here's a guy named Chris Sky, who's just some rando who has a live stream podcast out of Canada. And he was at a protest against the lockdowns in Canada in September of 2020. 2020, y'all. We're just 5 months into the pandemic at this time. You heard what the mainstream media was saying about horse dewormer and the vaccine and masks and social distancing, getting everything wrong. Here's what your crazy drunk uncle on Facebook was saying at the same time.
Don't need a mask. A mask is about compliance because they know Canadians like to do what they're told. So they tell you have to wear a mask. Next, they're going to tell you have to contact trace. Then they're going to tell you have to take the vaccine. And because Canadians like to do what they're told, they're hoping that everyone just complies. And then guess what, kids? Once you take your vaccine, like a dumb person that doesn't know any better, they're going to tell you, sorry, the vaccine isn't as effective as we thought it was going to be. So now you still got to wear your mask, still got to get contact trace, still have all the restrictions and social distancing, and still take your vaccine.
So the predictions from one side of the debate were correct with the exact same information that got it wrong on CNN and MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, most of your politicians, most of your governors. And they're not even fixing anything or admitting they had anything wrong. The common person should look at what happened during COVID and say, oh my God, all of these people got it so wrong. It was the biggest violation of constitutional rights in American history, and it resulted in the deaths of 7 million people directly and about 15 million people indirectly. Maybe we should listen to the people that got it right. Maybe there's something special about their worldview. Maybe if they got all this stuff wrong on COVID, maybe they're wrong about everything else that's going on right now. Maybe they're wrong about climate change. Maybe they're wrong about data centers. Maybe they're wrong about drug policy. Maybe they're wrong about universal health care. Maybe they're wrong about DART being a good investment. Brandy in Frankston, you're on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
Good afternoon, James. About 15 years ago, give or take, I think it was maybe a little bit more, there was a movie with Dustin Hoffman and Jude Law. I think it was Outbreak or something like that.
Yeah, Outbreak. I remember that. The rhesus monkey was giving everybody Ebola. Kevin Spacey died or whatever.
They had social distancing in that movie. And I wonder if that's where they got the social distancing from, because a lot of the things and storyline in that movie go so close to what happened with COVID. It's scary.
Yes, I remember that movie. They didn't have social distancing. They did completely surround a small town, and if anyone showed symptoms, they came in special suits and brought them out. But if you weren't infected and had no symptoms, you could still be within 6 feet of each other without criticism. So social distancing was even dumber than the fictional movie Outbreak. But I think Outbreak was something that if you had seen it before and you looked at that and you thought, well, these people that were handling a dangerous virus in this movie were wearing spacesuits. They looked like they were about to go on the moon or the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And all I got to do is wear this Scooby-Doo cloth mask over my child's face and they're somehow protected from it. Like, it made no sense. Like, the people who worked in the coronavirus lab, did they just have like a little cloth mask over their face, or did they pull up like a t-shirt sleeve over their nose? No, they're dressed in special suits. The whole thing was just not believable. And the tough part is how just willingly gullible the media was, all for what? To take away your constitutional rights?
Right. I mean, the masks don't work. If you can smell a fart through the mask, it wasn't working.
Yeah, the old fart test. I mean, that sounds funny, but that's legit. Like, how can my Indian food from last night make it through your mask, but the COVID virus can't? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, I'm going to agree with James Tallarico on something. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Texas homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. And Rhino Shield is what you do now instead of paint. Now, paint is for the inside of your house, or if you're going to do like a portrait of Ben Franklin or something like that for artistic purposes, fine. But if it's the outside of your house, if it's your fence, if it's your deck, if it's anything that is going to be subjected to the horrendous, brutal Texas weather, you want to use Rhino Shield. Paint is just obsolete. It might look good for a little while, but you're going to come back in 5, 10, 15 years, and you're going to see cracking, you're going to see flaking, you're going to see peeling. But the part that is most valuable about Rhino Shield, you can't even see, because it looks just as good as paint, but it lowers energy costs. It has an insulation factor. It's water resistant. It blocks UV rays. It just does a whole lot of stuff paint can't. And so we don't use it anymore. We use this space age technology. You don't believe me? Go look up their reviews online. So don't paint your house. Coat your home. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, fellow Texans. I'm your host, James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, we had the Fauci hearings last week. We've had the media reaction to it. And over the weekend, there was at least an attempt of a discussion, but it really seemed more like an attempt to bury the situation. And that's just not going to fly. I would like to see some sort, I don't expect him to apologize, but a little bit of humility, a little bit of shame, a little bit of just recognition that you got it wrong. And either you're a dupe or you're dishonest. But Dana Bash telling RFK, we just did the best we could with the information we had. We were just going by what the experts told us. That's not good enough. That's not good enough because there were other people who weren't, air quotes, experts who were getting it right. There were other doctors who weren't saying what your doctors were saying, and they were shunned, and they were deplatformed, and they were fired from their job, or they lost their professorship. No, it was a carefully curated narrative. And look, I still have a frozen YouTube channel, a frozen Facebook platform from saying things that turned out to be true about COVID. I lost an entire YouTube channel that had million views for saying the COVID vaccine doesn't prevent transmission. That turned out to be true. I still didn't get that back. So not only are we not learning our lesson, we're just setting up for the next big one. David in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Yeah, James. The whole deal with taking medication that animals take is a farce. Because they have antihistamine, they have antibiotics, the same things we take, just in different forms, different doses. So yeah, they owe everybody a apology for what went on.
Well, of course, we don't have to argue like the nuance of what did and didn't work on all of these things that they got wrong. It's not, the ivermectin, the hydroxychloroquine, yeah, that's part of it. But I'm talking about like social distancing, masks, lockdowns. It came from a Wuhan lab. We funded it. Children were at risk. Natural immunity didn't work. Like there were so many lies. They got all of these wrong. I really feel like I'm soft pedaling it here. I don't want to come out and act like I'm just guns blazing just to be sensational and get listeners here. But I feel like none of these people, Dana Bash included, Jake Tapper, all those people who got all of this stuff wrong, they shouldn't be allowed to be a news anchor anymore. If you get it this wrong and it results in 7 million deaths and the greatest violation of constitutional rights in American history, maybe you should give that chair to someone else.
Yes, but who's to say that the people that are coming and replace them aren't going to do it for money the same way they do?
Because you would replace them with the people who got it right. For every superintendent who extended the lockdowns past the first 15 days to slow the spread, they should be replaced by an administrator somewhere in some school system that fought against it. The people who got it right should be rewarded. The people who got it wrong should be punished. And that's not like some injustice. That's exactly what justice is. That is them getting what they deserve. And the people who got it right and suffered all the persecution, the job loss, the cost, they should be rewarded for getting it right.
Oh, definitely. It's just like the chief warrant officer that got reinstated.
Okay. But listen, David, I hear this coming from my Republican friends, and they're still going to vote for Greg Abbott. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You should never vote for anyone who is down with this for a second. And I'll give a grace period for that first 15 days to slow the spread. But after that, you had time to look into it, and the rest of us recognized that it was bunk. The people who still weren't fighting against this after that first 15 days, they shouldn't ever get your vote again. And that includes Greg Abbott. That includes John Cornyn. I don't think Ted Cruz was really down with it. I remember he was fighting masks back in the day, but I find that disappointing how many of these people are still in office and how many of those anchors still have a job and are still in the media.
True.
All right. Well, good stuff.
I agree with all that, my friend.
Thank you, Dave in Fort Worth. RL in Weatherford, you're next up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
You're on fire again, brother.
Thanks.
Robert Malone, he invented the stuff. And he's the one that said on Joe Rogan in 2020 for 3.5 hours, he brought up the difficulty of any type of vaccine that was not a vaccine. Like you said, it's a therapeutic type of thing. It's not even a vaccine is live, living. This stuff wasn't. And then another guy, very local, the most published heart internist in the freaking world, Roger McCullough, I guess he was out of Baylor. Baylor fired him. So then what happened? All these doctors that were not going along to get along with all these people came out with the Great Barrington Declaration. It's 15,000 doctors at one time. There's more than that now. It came out against all of these things that the government was trying to shove down our throats.
Yeah, I remember that, and you're bringing up a nice trail of evidence here. That, I mean, the Barrington Declaration. I had to learn how to pronounce the name Bhattacharya, but here's what I think about that, because you know what, this is right in line with what I'm talking about. Great call. Bhattacharya and your McCullough, Robert Malone, all these guys that got fired should be reinstated, and everybody who fired them should be fired themselves and never allowed to work in that industry again. I think we just lost them from the cell phone, whatever world. But the tough part is half of our country still thinks that was all legit. Half of our country still thinks, well, the lockdowns worked and the vaccine got us out of it. And thank God we wore masks and stuff. The vaccine saved lives. They were saying it this weekend. There's no doubt about it. The vaccine saved lives. Every study shows the vaccine. No, they're not even admitting they were wrong. So we're not even to the first step. But the end step needs to be all these people that got fired need to be reinstated. Everybody who fired them, they need to lose their job. Any news anchor who was pushing this, everything from your local TV station to Fox News had people that were pushing this garbage. MSNBC, CNN, they should all be ostracized and shamed out of their job, just as if they said the N-word. Even worse, because 7 million people died and your kids lost 2 years of school. 800-288-9227. A couple more calls on this, and I'll explain where I actually agreed with James Tallarico on an issue coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Welcome to the big show. And we're just responding to the response to the Fauci hearings from yesterday. The discussion continued. It's more of a debate still, and that kind of makes me want to just bang my head on the microphone. It shouldn't be a debate. The debate's over. Fauci was wrong. COVID came from a lab. He knew it. He lied about it the entire time. The entire time, people were mocked for believing in a conspiracy theory of a lab leak. They were all right. All you condescending, smarmy jerks about it were wrong. Everybody that got fired for not taking the vaccine or not wanting to wear a mask or not complying with social distancing, they were done so in an unjust manner. And I would like an apology from all the smarmy people. We're not going to get that. I would just settle for them admitting to themselves that they were wrong and shutting up. Let me play you a montage from the Jimmy Kimmel show. This is supposed to be comedy, by the way, and it's a bunch of doctors and nurses and people in lab coats with stethoscopes, and they're just better than you idiot.
I'm a doctor.
I'm a doctor, an actual medical doctor.
I've practiced medicine for 21 years.
I am a critical care nurse.
I've been a nurse for 16 years.
I spent 4 years in undergraduate school, then 4 years in medical school,
And then another 5 years as a resident in emergency medicine.
Look at all of my diplomas.
I worked a second job to put myself through nursing school.
I'm 53 now, and I won't have my student loans paid off till well after I retire.
I can name every organ in your body and tell you exactly what it does.
Did you know there are between 60 and 100,000 miles of blood vessels in the human body? I know that because I've studied human bodies.
Did you know the human body has 205 bones? Well, you're wrong. It's actually 206.
I did know that because I'm a doctor.
Did you know that eating raw ginger cures cancer? You didn't? Good, because it doesn't.
I've saved people's lives.
I've cracked open a chest and manually beat a human heart.
I've even delivered some babies in the back of cars.
Do you know how many people have shown me weird skin things at parties and asked me if they were dying?
Too many.
My life is spent trying to improve and save yours.
Oh, but you read something on Facebook?
Your friend from high school who sells jewelry, she posted it?
The one who's 53 and still builds dollhouses?
You heard what? On whose podcast?
Is he a doctor? No. Scientist? No.
Can he name one of the ingredients in the vaccine?
Can he point to his gabella?
Then tell him to shut the up. The gabella's right here, by the way.
Isn't that polio shot we gave your kid, and then your kid not getting polio? Well, those two things are related.
How about this? You do your job, I'll do mine.
Get the vaccine.
Get the vaccine.
Just get the vaccine. Grow the up and get the vaccine.
And tell your friend on Facebook to stick to jewelry.
No, your friend on Facebook was actually righter than all these smarmy people. I went to medical school. I practiced medicine for 20 years. I have a lab coat on. I know what I'm talking about. Shut the F up. Oh, did they go to medical school? Did they know what to talk about? You were wrong. You should all lose your jobs. You should all never be allowed to practice medicine again. I've cracked open a chest and pumped a human heart with my beating hand. Yeah, well, I know how viruses work better than you do. Get a new job. Go work at a gas station. The world needs garbage, man. I think we just found some new ones. Seriously, nobody in that montage should have a medical license today. And every second that they have one, that's an injustice. David in White Settlement, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hello, James. Hey, I've been keeping up with the Fauci thing. I didn't believe half the stuff that was going on to begin with.
Good.
I was terminated at the beginning of the COVID. I lost my, basically my 2 years that I was already there. And then whenever I went back, they basically kept it from me. So now I'm back 3 years. So if I would have stayed there, I would have been there almost 8 years, my seniority.
Your seniority.
And that pisses me off because
it should be restored. You should have your seniority back. And look, on top of that, whoever told you you're fired or sent you away, they should lose their job.
And in all honesty, I think Mr. Fauci and making the millions of dollars and everything should be owing restitution to everybody that was terminated.
If there is justice in this world, that's what will happen. But I wouldn't hold your breath there, David and White Settlement. All right, let me play the clip here where I agree with James Tallarico, and then you and I are going to have to discuss this. This new regime around the Texas weed laws, I'm not even sure I really understand where the new lines are, but I know they're wrong. Starting last, I think it was on Friday, Delta 8 and Delta 10 are illegal, but Delta 9 is legal. These are different forms of THC. What the difference is, I don't know.
This bill is insane. This legislature legalized hemp 6 years ago, but instead of regulating this booming industry in our state, we are now going backwards to the days of prohibition. This bill is not going to stop Texans from smoking weed or eating edibles just because a bunch of politicians in Austin tell them not to. Texans will still use THC, but instead of getting it safely from a local small business, they'll now get it from the black market, from the drug cartels. This ban is a gift to the cartels. We are now telling full-grown adults how to live their lives. This is the nanny state at its worst. This is big government at its worst. I thought the Republican Party believed in limited government and personal responsibility. I thought the Republican Party believed in liberty and freedom. What gives us the right to tell an adult what to do on their own time?
Isn't that weird? Apply that to the vaccine. Apply that to hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin or remdesivir or whatever happened during COVID. It's dumb. We're telling adults what they can and can't do with their own body. Oh, yeah. What's that like? What's that like? I was here for COVID, sir. I remember that. So if I gored your ox because you didn't think we should have bodily autonomy when it came to COVID, or if I'm goring your ox because you don't think we should have bodily autonomy when it comes to what drugs we put in our body, I think that covers most of the people listening right now. And does anybody still agree with me? Is anybody on the side that we should have all drugs legal and you should have left us all damn alone during COVID? 800-288-9227. Or you can call in and tell me if I'm wrong or where I'm wrong or explain to it. And I promise I'll be respectful. I've been doing a lot better at that. Miss Parker's been giving me some talks. You need to be nicer to the callers.
Hi, Miss Parker.
But it's so hard. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and I'm not known for agreeing with James Tallarico, but I don't mind admitting when I do. And in fact, I kind of relish it because I love showing the world that I'm not a political hack, that just everything Team Blue says is wrong and everything Team Red says is right. Because I really don't feel like I fit in either box. Now, I am more under the umbrella of Team Red because I want government to be smaller, just generally speaking. But that includes drug policy. And so one of the places where I depart from a lot of Team Red orthodoxy and probably overlap better with Team Blue is in the drug world, although for different reasons, for different philosophical backings. Like a Tallarico here, he wants weed to be legal because he thinks weed's fine and it's not as bad as alcohol or cigarettes or whatever. And he thinks it's safe enough that you can do it. He still wants everything else to be illegal. He still wants all these drugs to go through the prescription system. So he's not against the government getting between you and your decision on what you can and can't put in your body. He just thinks weed's okay. So while we have a different philosophy in the real world, there's a little bit of overlap there. Let me play this for the new people.
This bill is
by the way,
insane.
the weed laws changed. And this bill that he's talking about, this was from 2025 when the bill was being discussed. It just went into effect on Friday here in Texas.
This bill is insane. This legislature legalized hemp 6 years ago. But instead of regulating this booming industry in our state, we are now going backwards to the days of prohibition. This bill is not going to stop Texans from smoking weed or eating edibles just because a bunch of politicians in Austin tell them not to. Texans will still use THC, but instead of getting it safely from a local small business, they'll now get it from the black market, from the drug cartels. This ban is a gift to the cartels.
Wait, stop right there. He's right. Just can we apply that across the board? You know, making meth illegal isn't going to stop anyone from doing meth. They're just going to go get it from where? The criminal underworld. Same thing with heroin. Same thing with cocaine. So if it's okay for weed, then why aren't you consistent in your drug policy across all of it? Hell, across all the prescription drugs as well. See, that's where I have a problem with it. Oh, I agree with him on weed. I would just wish he would live with his principles when it's not weed. Julie in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
I'm like you. I consider myself fiscally conservative and socially liberal. I'm a registered Republican, but I don't agree with all of it. And this whole my body don't tell me what to do, I agree that weed should be legal and we should make up our own minds about it. But I also believe in pro-choice. And if we don't want the government telling us what to do, that's part of it in my vein. I don't understand why that is okay. I can't believe he says we're going backwards to the days of prohibition. They've done the same thing, causing backwoods abortions for the people that really don't want to have a child. It being illegal isn't going to stop it. And it doesn't make sense to me in the Republican Party.
Well, I mean, I can tell you what they're going to say, Julie. Like, you can choose what you put in your body and what you do with your body, but that's a different body inside of you that has a different genetic code, and it's a different being, and that's not your body. That's the body of a third party that is now living inside you right now.
And that's where we
right, and that's where the discussion is.
Point, perhaps.
And we can have a great debate about that. But if they're going to be so cut and dry on weed, I'm with you that I wish it would just apply across the board. I wish James Tallarico had that mindset and was just full throated for bodily autonomy when I was getting fired for not taking a COVID vax.
I would agree with you, and I can't even believe that I like something James Tallarico said. But damn, I have to admit that I do.
Yeah, and look. You shouldn't feel bad admitting it. It is weird that, in all these other ways, he seems to be wrong on his philosophical worldview, but I'm quite used to it. I am used to it. And it used to be worse, Julie. It used to be like back in the 90s when the Republicans were against legal weed and legal gay marriage. That was something where I was like, well, I'm for legal weed and I'm for legal gay marriage. So I guess I don't agree with them now. Now, most Republicans are okay with legal weed and legal gay marriage. So now I have even less of a sympathy toward Team Blue. It's just weird how that works out. A lot of evolution happened in the last 20, 30 years. Tyler in Burleson, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
I was calling. I do most certainly agree with you on legalization. The only problem is that weed is so strong now in terms of psychosis. And I had a conversation with a guy that was going into the military 10 years ago, and he said, "Oh, it's not a gateway drug, blah, 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 blah." And I said, you know what? It should be medicinal and not necessarily recreational. Because once you show up to that drug dealer's house, there's other things on the menu. So that's the only thing in terms of gateway I can think of. The real gateway is alcohol, because think about how many times you screwed up in life and it was alcohol that led you to this, and this. And good luck finding a doctor that's going to medicinally, prescribe you cocaine or speed. Oh, you already have Adderall. So otherwise, yeah, I agree, because we need to keep young people out of drug dealers' houses with who knows what's on the menu and who knows what the ingredients are.
So legalize it. That'll keep them out of drug dealers' houses. If they have to go to CVS for it instead of, Jake on the other side of the tracks, wouldn't that solve the problem?
Yeah, that's why I agree with you. But my gosh, it's just the weed is so strong. Not that I partake in it, because
I'm interested in this weed is strong argument, because someone said this to me. I'm sorry to cut you off. I only have like 1 minute left. Someone said this to me last week, and I just threw right back at her. So if weed wasn't as strong, it should be legal.
Not legal, medicinal. Definitely doctor's orders. I'm not
All right.
saying.
I'm a doctor. I wrote you a prescription for weed. Now, should it be legal?
For maybe cancer purposes, or
what about the really strong stuff?
Oh man, that's where it gets.
What if I'm a doctor? What if I'm a doctor and I prescribe you cocaine? Should that be legal?
I don't know why you would need to be prescribed.
Well, you don't understand. Tyler, did you go to medical school? What do you know?
I've just seen a lot of people go down the.
I know, and I'm giving you the sort of the devil's advocate push on that. If it's legal for medicinal purposes, then it's just legal. All you got to do is find a crooked doctor to write you a prescription.
Exactly.
We know what that is.
And
if it's okay to be a medicine, it's okay to be recreation. And people act like recreation, if it's not necessary to save your life, then you shouldn't be allowed to do it. No, your freedoms apply. Your bodily autonomy applies, even if you're doing it just for funsies at 11:30 on a Saturday night. Recreation is important. Recreation is something that you should be allowed to pursue without someone else's permission, as long as it doesn't have a negative effect on an involuntary third party. I don't understand why recreation is somehow treated different. Well, you can have your full complement of rights if and only if you're going to die. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, Donald Trump spoke on Iran right before the James Show started. You're about to hear that on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. My next guest is Colonel Grant Newsham, and I'm going to start off by getting his reply to this little soundbite. He came out and signed some executive order when he opened it up for questions, was immediately asked about Iran. He says, talks are happening, but this is their last chance. And I guess he means for real this time.
But we are talking right now. We're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. Many countries called. The leaders of many are friendly with a lot of them, almost all of them, one way or the other, and they all wanted to give this a last chance. This is the last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is the last chance for them to sign a good document.
Colonel Grant Newsham, Center for Security Policy, welcome to the James Show. This is their last chance for real this time? Well, super cynical James over here actually can make a case for optimism at the same time. And I think that this may stick because we are now 3 months away from the election season. And I think he's going to wrap this up pretty soon, no matter what the situation is on the ground. Well, look, given your book, When China Attacks, and your focus on that part of the world, are you surprised that China's help for Iran hasn't been more helpful? Well, Grant Newsham, do we know who we're talking to on the other end yet? Right. Okay. Well, thanks for checking in with us. This is Grant Newsham. He's a retired U.S. Marine colonel. He's with the Center for Security Policy, and he's got a great book, When China Attacks. Check him out on X at Newsham Grant. Thank you, sir. To the phones we go. Robert in Arlington, you're next up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, back on the drug thing.
Talarico saying the drug law is weird in Texas. I agreed. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is that unfortunately I'm going to have to disagree with you on this because you're talking about making everything legal.
Everything, even fentanyl, over the counter.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the reason doctors have to go through all the schooling, and have you seen that book that explains what each drug does? That's what they have, that if you just make everything legal, the amount of fatalities would drastically increase.
What's your evidence for that?
Okay.
Because I have evidence against it, and I don't want to hear theoretical things that might happen in the future. What's your evidence in the past?
Okay. Earlier you mentioned methamphetamines, right?
Yeah.
Why are they so addictive?
Because druggies like drugs. Go ahead.
No, because they release 10 times the endorphins into your brain that you can have even doing the most pleasurable things in your life. So the most pleasurable things in your life now become less important, and the only thing that can get you to that high is that drug, so it creates a circle.
What does this have to do with legalization?
If it was legal without doctors being able to prescribe the right amounts of a lot of these medicines, then I guess that's the thing. Do you think the civilian population in this country or this world has the intelligence to understand what these medications actually do to their body?
All right, so buckle up. This is what I mean by evidence. Are you ready, Robert?
Yes, go ahead.
Opiates used to be legal in this country. Do we have more overdose deaths now that they have been illegal, or at least put behind a prescription wall with doctors' oversight? Were there more opiate overdoses before or after we made them prescriptions?
I honestly cannot.
Yeah, it's afterwards, or I wouldn't ask. You can just intuitively know what the answer is going to be. Okay, so we took. Hang on. We took a very dangerous, very addictive drug, and because of an abundance of caution, you sound like you have good intentions over here, Robert. We said, well, let's put this under the purview of the experts to save lives, because the average person can't really know what all is going on and can't be trusted with what they do and don't put in their own body. But once we did that, overdose deaths went up. So the real world evidence shows if you're concerned about overdose deaths from very dangerous addictive drugs, having them fully legal was not a perfect, but more preferable regime than putting them under the prescription umbrella.
Like I said, I've also seen some other things like you were talking about.
Well, can you at least admit I was right on that point? And
on that one, yeah, I do not know why.
Good. That's good. Hey, no, listen.
I would like to.
I'm just out of time. We got to do Dead or Alive next. But I appreciate you calling in. I hope you think I was respectful, because on the James Show, I appreciate all of my listeners who agree with me, and I appreciate all of my listeners who are wrong. All right, coming up next on the James Show, we got to do Dead or Alive. If you want to win tickets to see the Guess Who, call in right now. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227 for tickets to the Guess Who, Dead or Alive, next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, are you in pain right now? Maybe you want to ditch those opiates and those prescriptions you have to deal with your pain and go to QC Kinetics. And that's one of the big pluses for a lot of people on QC Kinetics. It's a way to get rid of the pain that doesn't involve addictive drugs. It's a way to deal with your pain that doesn't involve surgery, that doesn't involve you getting cut open and being put under, and you got to get in a robe with your butt hanging out, and then there's got to be stitches, and then there's got to be recovery time, and then there's got to be antibiotics and all. Skip all that. It doesn't work for everyone, but at least find out if you can deal with your pain without having to deal with all of those negatives. QC Kinetics, it's regenerative new space age treatments that don't require addictive drugs, don't require surgery, don't require downtime or anesthetics or missing work or stitches or pain or anything. It's pretty amazing stuff. Go check it out for yourself. Doesn't cost anything for the free consultation, but it starts with you making the phone call. Call QC Kinetics, 972-972-8610. 972-972-8610. Hey, you're just in time for Dead or Alive on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And Dead or Alive is going to be the easier of the two James shows. If you're not familiar with it, you'll catch on really quick. All right, thank you, Mr. Jovi. Welcome to Dead or Alive. This is the game show where I'm going to give you a list of 10 celebrities. You have to tell me if they are dead or alive. Today's category, superheroes. Actors and actresses who played superheroes. I saw the new Spider-Man over the weekend. You can just wait till it comes out on Netflix. It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's not bad. It's kind of dorky. Anyway, we'll get into that later. Garrett has some strong opinions apparently on Spider-Man and all things child related. But anyway, we're playing today's prize. Tickets to see the Guess Who. They're going to be at Dickies Arena on August 9th, which sounds way far in the future. It's next weekend. Special guest Don Felder. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. Don't bother calling in now because the phones are full. We go to Sherry in Kaufman. You're going to start us off on Dead or Alive. You ready?
I am.
She sounds so excited already. I like you. All right. Sherry and Kaufman. Number one, Michael Keaton. He played Batman. Dead or alive?
He's alive.
He is alive. And then he was like the Vulture in the Spider-Man from 9 years ago. You remember that, Garrett? Homecoming. That's right. Yeah. Another Batman, Val Kilmer. Dead or alive?
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, he just died. Another Batman, George Clooney. Dead or alive?
He's alive.
He is alive. Another Batman, Adam West. Is he dead or alive?
Oh, he's dead.
Yes, he's dead. All right. We move on to Superman, Christopher Reeves. Dead or alive?
Oh, he's dead.
Wasn't his dad a Superman too, Sherry? Like Burt Reeves or something in the 50s? George Reeves, thank you.
You got me.
No, Garrett actually knew something. Garrett, give yourself a point. Yeah. You got an extra point. All right, we are on to the guy who played Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
No, Chadwick Boseman died of cancer in 2020. Thank you, Sherry. You did so well.
Bad.
I know. Let's go down to Jim and Maybank. You ready for Dead or Alive?
Let's go, James.
All right. And Garrett, for your information, Maybank does not have a Y in it, sir.
No, it doesn't.
Linda Carter, she played Wonder Woman in the 70s. Is she dead or alive?
She's alive.
75 years old. Yeah, we didn't need that, Garrett. We know she's hot. The guy who played Joker, Heath Ledger, dead or alive?
He's dead.
Another guy who played Joker, the 60s Joker, Cesar Romero, dead or alive?
He's dead.
He is dead. And finally, Jim and Maybank, for the tickets to see the Guess Who, the guy who played the Hulk in the 70s, Lou Ferrigno, dead or alive?
He's alive.
He is alive. Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. All right, Jim and Maybank, I'm going to put you on hold. Regular Garrett's going to get your information. You just won 2 tickets to see the Guess Who Taking It Back tour coming to Dickies Arena August 9th. Special guest Don Felder. For the rest of us losers, we have to go get our tickets and information at livenation.com. This has been today's edition of Dead or Alive. All right, back to the phones. I think Cynthia in Midlothian was going to tell me I'm wrong on drug policy. I was agreeing with James Tallarico that the THC laws are weird in Texas, and it just feels weird to agree with Tallarico, but I got to admit when we overlap. Cynthia in Midlothian, go.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, but I was going to agree with you. I believe all drugs should be legal. And I'll tell you, honestly, it's a personal choice, and people should get to do whatever they want. I think you ought to be able to buy any drug you want in 7-Eleven or any grocery store. They sell Drano. I don't drink it. It's just, you got to use your brain. And I don't think we should regulate what people are doing, mainly because I don't like the cartels. They make money on the backs of dead people and people that are hurting. And I would rather see them not And everybody just learned, just don't take drugs. Drugs are bad for you. Don't take them. But dang, if you want to, like I said, you ought to be able to buy at 7-Eleven. I also think for at least a year, the government should get all the proceeds from the sale of legal drugs, and we could get rid of our debt in 1 year. And then we can go into private.
Bro, we could get rid of our income taxes is what I'm talking about. Get rid of.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I like how you bring up the situation with the cartels. Is they're the big winners out of this, but I also I myself often forget about our other Mexican friends who are forced to live in a narco state just because they happen to be geographically between all the places where drugs come from and all the noses in America that are going to snort them up tonight. Because if you're between Hunter Biden and Colombia, there's a good chance you're going to be a narco state. And, on one hand, that's kind of our fault, but it's also kind of the fault of our government for making it illegal. And if they were all legal and all the cartels went out of business, the billions of dollars that's used to bribe judges and politicians and military leaders and police all across Mexico would dry up. And how much better would that country be? And if that country's so much better, how many fewer people would we have streaming over the border to escape a country that is only a shell of what it deserves?
Yes. And the gentleman ahead of me that spoke with you about the poor people and how many people will die because it's legal and they can go get it. I hate to be ugly about it, but I just call that thinning the herd. We've got to get people that make better choices. So I'm not in favor of doing drugs. I'm just in favor of letting you buy them if you want them.
Hell, I think having them be illegal is thinning the herd because now you get tainted fentanyl and they're getting themselves killed in greater numbers than they would if it was legal. See, same thing we saw with prohibition. The number of people who died from tainted alcohol went down after it was remade into legal alcohol. It spiked in illegal alcohol because you were getting it from criminals. Anyway, it's no fun when you agree with me, Cynthia in Midlothian. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we got some Houston moms that are suing the state of Texas over the 10 commandments in schools, and we'll make fun of them next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. So I was agreeing with James Tallarico somewhat on drug policy. I mean, just kind of halfway. But let's go to right next to the next story where I 100% disagree with him. James Tallarico doesn't think we should have the 10 Commandments in Texas public schools. I'm sort of indifferent to the situation. But there's a group in Houston, some activists that are suing. Now, you need to be really careful about how this is framed in the media. I don't think this is going to affect you any. But when I saw the headline, I saw a headline, well, I don't want to say where, but it said, moms sue the state of Texas over 10 commandments in classrooms. Moms, as in this is just all the moms of Texas? Or is this just the general consensus of moms? Or is this a group of moms? No, it's 3 moms in Houston. It's just put in the headline to make it look like all moms agree that this is wrong. So shouldn't you?
3 Houston moms are suing to stop the display of the 10 Commandments in Texas classrooms. They argue that the law violates Texas's religious freedom law and a voter-approved parental rights amendment. Other attempts to prohibit the display of the 10 Commandments in public schools under federal law, primarily the First Amendment's guarantee of separation of church and state, haven't been successful thus far. So the lawsuit comes just weeks after Texas approved a new Bible-infused school curriculum.
Yeah, there it is. The First Amendment's protection against a separation of church and state. What are you talking about? It doesn't say that in there. It doesn't say separation of church and state anywhere in the Constitution. I think most people listening to this show already know that, but you damn well know that 70% of the people that if you look out the window, see all those people on the sidewalk, they don't know. They don't know. So moms are going to fight this. 3 Houston political activist moms are going to fight this. But if you couch it like that, it sounds a lot more sympathetic than political activists fighting against the 10 Commandments in classrooms. Now, my position on this is entirely consistent. I don't think we should have public schools. And if we didn't have public schools, we wouldn't have this problem. If you wanted the 10 Commandments on the wall in your kid's classroom, you would choose the school with your own dollars to send your kid that had the 10 Commandments on the wall in the classrooms. If you wanted to avoid it, then you would choose a different school and everybody would get their way. And there wouldn't be half of the population trying to force their preferred method of schooling on the other half of the population who is in turn trying to do the opposite. And this solves so many problems in schools. Whether or not you want to teach Common Core. If you like Common Core, send your kid to the Common Core school. If you want to teach your kid critical race theory and America's Evil, you can send your kid to the America's Evil school. If you want it to be infused with Christian ideology, or at least admit in a secular facet that Christianity had something to do with the history of this country, you can send them to that school. You can send them to the school that pretends Christianity never existed throughout all of history. You could choose what the kind of lunch they have, what dirty books are in the library. All of these problems would be solved immediately tomorrow if we just got rid of public schools. Now, who's with me? Nobody. Oh, okay. So the 10 Commandments, how do I feel about that? I don't care. It can't be bad. Let's get a body of information. Is there any schools out there who have the 10 Commandments on the walls of all their classrooms? Do they get better or worse results than the schools that do not? That's really all I care about. Oh, but you're forcing Christianity. No, having the 10 Commandments on the wall isn't an establishment of a religion. It's not proselytizing. No one has to believe in it. No one has to become a Christian. No one has to say a prayer. No one has to put up a little monument to Jesus. You can even ignore Christmas if you want to. It's just a piece of paper. And if it's a fantasy, what are you so scared of? We're not scared of teaching our kids, the myth of Bigfoot or the myth of vampires or the myth of werewolves or the myth of, if it's a myth, why are you so scared of it? Why can't we teach it? I think you know the answer to that. Look, that's going to about do it for the James Show today. But I hate having to give away tickets or even tell you how to win tickets to bands that I think are terrible. But Train is coming to Dos Equis Pavilion on August 15th. If you like them, we can still be friends. I don't want to go, but I will tell you how you can get tickets. Go to livenation.com or listen to the WBAP morning show all week this week. They're going to be giving away tickets a couple times here and there during their show. So catch that from 5 to 9, you Train fans. I don't understand you, but I want you to be happy. So listen to the WBAP morning show. Now, if you need more James Show action in the meantime, go check out the podcast. Also, I want to remind you, I have some great video highlights that are on all of the social medias out there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. I'm on Twitch. Whatever you're looking. Well, I'm on a lot of it. You're on Grindr, aren't you? Isn't that your favorite app, Garrett? Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.